All right, everybody, we are back at it again. This time at our final Black Sabbath album review. It has been one hell of a journey. This has been the longest discography I've tackled yet. I think beating Judas Priest out by maybe one or two. And man, it's been so fun, especially considering all the eras, different singers and band members these guys have gone through. It's definitely been an interesting one. And it's going to serve to be a pretty hard one to rank for me, considering how different some of these albums sound from one another. But, you know, we got to start off, or not start off, but finish off with this thing right here. 2013's, aptly titled 13. And this time we got the whole gang back, except for Bill Ward. I'm trying to remember who's exactly on drums here. I'm drawing a blank, but I don't think it was Brad Wilk. I think he did some of the drum work on the tour. I'm forgetting who did the drumming on this, but, you know, Geezer's back on bass after, several year hiatus, besides the whole reunion tour thing that they did in the late 90s, which didn't last too long. But, last album Geezer was on was, in 1994's Cross Purposes. So fast forward all the way to 2013, he's here. Then the last Ozzy album he was on, because man, it's been a long time for Ozzy, since literally like 1979, I believe, or no, 78 with Never Say Die. So it took him that long to get back to these guys and record an album. Of course, Tony Iommi, his band's still in it, kicking it. And the last Sabbath album, there's a huge gap in between them here, with the Forbidden 1995 all the way till here 2013. So a lot, they had that reunion tour and all. Martin got booted out, before that reunion tour really kicked off, and then they just kind of all went quiet for several years. We had the Heaven and Hell album, and that's an awesome band, awesome album. It's literally the same lineup as the Mob Rules and Dehumanizer Sabbath, but apparently they couldn't. It was because of Sharon, I hear. Someone in the comments told me that, and after looking into it, it really was that they couldn't really use the Black Sabbath name, so they just went with Heaven and Hell. So that will, like I said, that will be a separate review at some later point. Will not be in part of the rankings or anything. But with that, we end up here with 3/4 of the gang back together, the original gang. And what a fitting way to open this thing with End of the Beginning. And, before we delve all the way in here to that track and the rest of the album, I'll talk about the production. And I've heard a lot of people kind of gripe about the production on this a lot, but I think it's one of the strongest produced Sabbath albums. I mean, as far as like a good modern sound go, very well balanced. As far as you can hear the bass perfectly, you can hear the guitar perfectly, Ozzy's vocals. I know he had probably a little bit of help vocally as they're getting up in their ears here, kind of like he's done since like the late 2000s and up on his solo stuff. So you can kind of tell that's going on here, but it doesn't really affect anything to me. And the drums are I hate that I'm drawing a blank on the dude, but he does a damn fine job drumming on here. So the production's really solid to me, and it's got a really big and epic kind of feel, like a solid feel for like an closing album. But anyways, we start off the track with Into the Beginning, which this track is very reminiscent of the self-titled track off their very first album. And yeah, I'll go ahead and show that here while I'm showing it. Really, really cool album cover. I got the version that's got like, you can move it in the fire, the 13 catches fire. But anyways, yeah, Into the Beginning. And I've heard a lot of people say about this album as a whole that, they're like, oh, they're just doing what they always do. But it's like, weren't you guys the same people who wanted them to do that, and didn't really like it when they were doing different stuff during the 80s and 90s? So, it's kind of like, you can't please everybody, but I get it. Maybe if someone was maybe wanting something kind of totally new sounding from them. But Into the Beginning, really, really cool, doomy song. It's almost got the same riff even as and the same like rhythm to it as the title track of Black Sabbath, but I dig this one regardless. And I love the breakdown, just like in the song Black Sabbath. The breakdown is like the main, just the most kick-ass part of the whole thing. So Into the Beginning is a hell of an opener on here. Then we get to the big one off here, God is Dead. Super controversial title. And it's with a question mark. So, I mean, they threw that in there, I guess, to be a little bit less controversial. But this album, or this song right here, is an absolute masterpiece of a track. One of the best ones off here. One of my favorite songs with these guys, period. It is some very, very dark lyric stuff about a man questioning his religion. Is God dead? I love the rhythm of Ozzy singing on here and like the melodies that he's got going throughout. There's like so many hooky melodies on here, like just like obviously the chorus, and I love the part whenever they start getting that heavy chugging riff going on, and I transfer from reality into a living death, and you sound just evil as hell, singing that, and I love like the kind of fast, a little bit of a faster melody over the doomier riffs and stuff. What is it? I'm trying to remember some of one of the parts that it does. I'm drawing a blank again, but it's like right before it's during the verses. Like, who do you trust when corruption and lust, creed of all the unjust? I mean, man, out of the gloom I rise up from my tomb into impending doom. That whenever he's singing those lyrics, man, that melody right there, that is like such a hooky part to me. One of my favorite parts of the song is just, it sounds so badass and evil, and it's just, again, an epic story of a song, and one of my favorite Black Sabbath songs of all time. Hell of a track to say, hey guys, here's something for you, big epic one. Then we get to a badass riffer on here, Loner. This is just another example of Tony Iommi able to just pull riffs out of his ass and then they sound perfect. It's like, it's like, man, it's just crazy how no matter how old he gets, no matter how long he's been around, even on the weaker albums for this band, the riffs are still pretty kick-ass, and there's no doubt about it. That's the riff master for you. But Loner is such a cool song. It's such an awesome groove beat to it. Incredible outro solo. One of my favorite Sabbath solos of all time. I've said that several times throughout this, album review series, but really there's so many Iommi solos that are so great. And Loner has one of my favorites. It's just bluesy, and it's going over that riff, and I love the guitar tone Iommi's got on here. Never really fails to have never fails to have an amazing guitar tone, Iommi does. So Loner, and just one of my favorites, like top 2 or 3 favorites off here. Then we get kind of the Planet Caravan-esque, slower, kind of spacey, song, the Zeitgeist. And I actually like this one better than Planet Caravan as far as the melodies go. And again, the solo, it's just bluesy. It's such a chill song. I like how I think on Planet Caravan, it's really cool how like that effect, that really spacey effects on Ozzy's vocals. But this is a little bit cleaner and a little bit less effects than that, to where you really get a good sound there. And I think this one's hookier and more melodic. And just, I like this track better. I do love Planet Caravan. And this is another case where super, super similar tracks, but it's cool with me. We hadn't heard a track like this since, God, who knows when, they did After Forever and stuff on Master of Reality, and so they've not, with Ozzy, we hadn't heard one of those, really slow, kind of, stoner-esque songs from them in quite some time. So, again, it doesn't really bother me that they went back and, in their bag of tricks and just use that again for this album. Zeitgeist, another one of my favorites. Super underrated track, man. I've even seen some videos pairing those two together. It'll play Planet Caravan and fade directly into Zeitgeist as a sequel song, and it fits pretty cool. I thought that was pretty sweet. But then we go to Age of Reason. Really, really cool song. We get some harmonica playing from Ozzy. Whips out that harmonica again, just like the old first album, which is super cool. Really, really kick-ass riff. Just heavy riff. Really bluesy. From here on, we get some really, really kind of bluesy ones for the most part here. Age of Reason, just a hell of one. There's a lot of big, long, epic songs on here. This is one of them, as well as the first two. Into the Beginning, God is Dead. Age of Reason is one of those, and I freaking love it. Then we go to Live Forever. Probably my least favorite off here. But it's really cool. Really got a hell of a melody. I love the ending where, I don't want to live forever. It just kind of, it's got a good groove to it, good kind of bluesy tune, but a little bit faster pace of a bluesy tune. But still probably my least favorite off here. And I'll talk about some bonus tracks that I maybe, that, because I got the bonus track edition here, that those, if you guys have seen my reviews before, when there's bonus tracks on something, those won't count towards the review or like the ranking, right? But I do like to talk about them too, especially when they're freaking great. But I'll probably say which ones I would maybe swap out once we get through this here. Then we go to Damaged Soul, and that is like one of my favorites out there. This one is got some of the darkest freaking Sabbath lyrics out here. Very, I mean, it sounds like Geezer, you know, of course, he writes the lyrics, the majority of them at least, or if not all of them, was going through some kind of religious struggle or something up in here, because, man, he was just, you know, I'm losing the battle between Satan and God, and just some really, really cool and wicked and dark-sounding lyrics, and just, man, super, and some controversial ones at that. You know, these guys, they just don't really give a damn. They're going to put out what they need to say, and Damaged Soul is just so bluesy, and probably the bluesiest one on here, one of the bluesiest Sabbath songs out there, one of my favorites by them. And it's long and just like droney and just total doom metal, pretty much. Like, oh man, Damaged Soul, a super underrated track off here. And as far as ones that sound like super similar or really any similar to that, because, you know, Into the Beginning kind of had its parallel with the title track of Black Sabbath. Zeitgeist, The Planet Caravan are kind of parallel. You don't see a lot of this stuff really. It's not all that much to me. Like Damaged Soul, obviously they've had like long, heavy, bluesy kind of songs, but like this one's got a total unique feel to it. Then we cap it off with Dear Father, another really, really cool one with some lyrics about him questioning his religion, just really dark stuff. Yet again, the riff on this one is freaking heavy, and I love like preacher of theocracy, hiding your hypocrisy. You know, I love that lyric. There's just incredible like poetry as far as lyrics go all over this album, and those bluesy ones like that, like and God Is Dead is filled with it too. Those are like some of the top tier Black Sabbath lyrics right there. Geezer was on freaking point writing the lyrics on this thing, and Ozzy's melodies that he was writing for those lyrics, it just was a beautiful combination. And Dear Father, it ends so fittingly as an ending to their entire discography. I mean, I would love another Sabbath album, though, don't get me wrong. But, you know, with how the original Black Sabbath song opens up with kind of the rain and storm or whatever, Dear Father ends with that. So that is like just a beautiful cap on their career if it is over. You never know. But then we get to the bonus tracks. And here's the thing. The bonus tracks, there's some of the best tracks off here if they would have been counted on here. And I would have maybe swapped them out, like Methademic, such a unique song, and really, really cool lyrics talking about freaking meth, and I love like I love the chorus. It's so freaking catchy and hooky. Could have been a single off here, is how good that one is. And the bass playing on here, oh man, Geezer is kicking ass on this track, and I would have maybe swapped that one with Live Forever. You know, take that off there. Then we got Peace of Mind, which is another really cool one. It's got a good groove to it. Probably my least favorite of the 3 bonus tracks here. And I maybe would have, I get why that one's maybe a bonus track. But Pariah, come on, man. Pariah should have been on this album too. Maybe take off, maybe Age of Reason. And I do love that song, but you know, I think maybe a lot of people's problem with this album is that it's filled with these big, long, epic, doomy, bluesy ones and not enough for the fast-paced ones thrown in there. But I think these bonus tracks make up for that. So usually when I listen to this album, I listen to it all the way through, like even with the bonus tracks. But like I said, they don't really count towards where my ranking will go, or like bump up the album score or whatever, unfortunately. But Pariah, man, that's one of my favorite songs off here that's not technically on here. I mean, I love the riff on this one. It's kind of a faster paced one, and then just kind of like a long drawn out note, and then the verses, and man, I mean, hell, the verses are hookier than the freaking choruses, you know, like in the lyrics, the product of a God on earth, another virgin blood, such a fantasy. I mean, it's just some dark stuff right there. And, you know, I'm your pariah, not your messiah. I mean, just such cool stuff. The whole theme of this album is almost like Wiccan sounding. And the album kind of reflects that. The album cover does. But yeah, Methodemic and Pariah, they should have been tacked on this album. Maybe people would be thinking a little bit different about it, not because some people, I guess, they just get kind of, they want a little bit of that fast-paced stuff in there, and I do too. I think it would have gone a little bit better with maybe Age of Reason and Live Forever. And Live Forever is one of those kind of faster-paced ones off here, but I still, that one's probably the weakest track out of even including the bonus tracks off here. But yeah, guys, I love this album. This album, I was just blown away by it when I first heard it, and I'm always blown away by it. Just an incredible work. I hear it kind of get a lot of hate and just, and I get it. Some people just, it just didn't hit for them, but for me, it totally delivered as like a final Sabbath album, and just capped off their career beautifully. And I think it's great that it's unfortunate Bill Ward wasn't able to come back on here to be the final four or whatever. But they were having some problems, contract problems or whatever. But at least we got Ozzy. We had all been wanting Ozzy to be on the Sabbath record since he freaking left. And there was that possible chance in the 90s with the reunion tour, but it fell through. So at least we finally got one where he's back in with Geezer, and Tony's back, got the gang back together. But absolutely love this album. Super doomy, just dark and a little bit of bluesy, which is pretty much the words that describe their very first album. So a lot of similarities there. But yep, that is it, guys. 13, it's been reviewed. It's going to be ranking time next time. And also, in the next video, we'll be announcing the next album we'll be reviewing. Because, as you guys know, I kind of like to pace it by putting maybe a small discography or just a one-off album. So we'll be doing just a one-off album in between discographies. So you guys stay tuned for that in the ranking video that's coming up. And it's going to be, I'm super hyped to rank these. It's been very, very tough. I'm still thinking about how I'm going to rank them right now. And probably will be until I'm ready to film the video. But let me know what you guys think about this album, because like I said, I've heard some controversial, I've heard it's, or not really controversial comments about it, but I've heard like a lot of people just really don't dig it. They don't hate it, but they just think it's mediocre or whatever. But I absolutely love it. But just let me know what you guys think about this, and especially like if you really dig like the 70s Sabbath stuff, which I freaking love. And I think this just holds up right there with it. But anyways, thanks so much, guys. Like, subscribe, comment, and let's keep talking about this stuff down there. And on that ranking video, you guys, if you want to rank along with me, be prepared to comment some of those down there, because it'll be super fun checking those out. Anyways, thanks, guys.